This is the Design 118 Assignment 1 presentation by Lingye Zhuang. Layer stack, or layers, is a common feature in creative tools for 2D visual contents such as Photoshop, Figma, Sketchbook, and so on. Creators use the layer stack to arrange the occlusion relationships between objects. This makes digital content creation much easier than traditional painting because each layer can be edited and moved around separately. Worth noticing, in all these mainstream software, layers are very rigid and they can't intersect with each other. Each layer is an uncrossable wall. What problem can this cause? Well, as a result of the uncrossable layers, shapes that partially overlap upon one another are often quite complicated to make. For example, to create this image of a Saturn in which the ring goes around the planet, it makes sense to put the planet and the ring onto two separate layers and adjust each of them. However, since part of the ring should be behind the planet while the other half should be in the front, the process could be tedious. There are two possible workarounds that creators usually use to deal with a task like this. The first way is to duplicate one of the items, the planet here, and cut it into halves. Then put one half on the topmost layer and the other half at the bottom, so as to mimic the effect that the planet goes through the ring. However, the two halves of the same planet can no longer be grouped together because the ring layer stands between them. So to adjust the planet later, the creator will have to find all pieces of it throughout the layer stack. This is just a simple example, but you can imagine how quickly this can become frustrating if, say, more rings are added and the layer stack grows between the two halves of the planet. The second possible workaround is to erase part of the ring that is supposed to be blocked by the planet. But the issue is then every time the size or position of the planet is changed, the ring would have to be redrawn or erased again accordingly, leading to a lot of repeated work. Is it possible to have crossable layers so each layer is soft like a piece of paper and each layer can have different z-indexes on different parts? I found out there have already been some researches on this topic and some nice solutions to the problem. Local layering introduced a functionality to reorder the colored regions of a set of shapes based on the intersection of their outlines. So some interesting effects as shown in the figure can be achieved. But problem remains for more complex patterns. What if the outlines form really complicated intersections or if glowing and drop shadows are involved? Additionally, as its name indicated, local layering displays layer orders locally on each colored region, so the user can't perform reordering and see the resulting effect at the same time without switching back and forth between modes. And the design is inconsistent with the conventional side menu for layers that is used by most software in the market, preventing this solution from being generalized. How can crossable layers be integrated into existing convention and properly displayed in a side menu layer stack is another challenge. My solution idea is inspired by another popular feature in visual creative tool, masking. Masking uses the brightness information in the mask layer to decide the opacity of each pixel in the content layer. So I am thinking maybe similar to masking for opacity, we can have masking for depth, a depth mask. The brightness information in the depth mask will be mapped to relevant depth value. Darker color on the depth mask means this portion of the shape has lower z-index and is deeper into the screen, while brighter parts of the depth mask have higher z-index and is thus closer to the viewer. Depth mask can account for very complex depth information compared with the existing solution. Additionally, each content layer can have a depth mask associated with it, making it still possible to organize all layers into one single layer stack on the side menu, which follows the convention of this type of software, so it could be easier to integrate depth mask into the system of existing creative tools in the market.